Hey guys, well, I just checked and it doesn't look like anybody's watching. If you are watching, I do apologize. It looked like I had one like, but there were no viewers. So, may not have anybody for tonight. Now, if people are concerned about being able to watch it, I do have a link to Vimeo. If that's not working for you guys, there is a version on YouTube, but it has like a Spanish guy or two talking over it. So, what I would suggest is if you use that version, that you mute the audio because it's going to just like they're talking over the audio from the movie the whole time. And I'm going to mute my audio anyway because the last time I had mine playing, I it was kind of messing with people, so I just turned it down. I'll do a few housekeeping things just in case there's people that may be coming in late. It does look like I have one viewer now, so I may have one person in here. And it could be that people aren't interested in a watch along for Blood Lake, but I thought maybe I would just drop this one in here. I was bored and wanted something to do, and I asked Steve if he wanted to join in on this. But he said, nah, I don't really want to watch Blood Lake again. So that might be the consensus for a lot of people. They may just not want to watch that movie, but I thought it might be a little more entertaining with me talking over the movie and us actually doing a watch along together. But like I said, I can drop that link. Let me go ahead and see if I can find that YouTube link in case the Vimeo link is not working for you guys. I mean, it worked for me and said I could watch it free. I do apologize for Brandon barking in the background. I thought since Steve was back there, then he would be okay. But, okay. So, let me see if I can put this link up for the one on YouTube. Let me just see if I can put this in the chat. And that way, if there's some of you that are wanting to watch it, and you can't get the Vimeo link to work for whatever reason, there is also this YouTube link. But like I said, I would suggest that if you use that link, that you mute the audio because it's not just going to be the audio for the movie. It's going to be the Spanish guys talking in Spanish. I think it's Spanish. It's been a long time since I had a Spanish class, but I think that's what it is. And so I would warn you that that's going to be super distracting, even more so, I think, than me having the audio playing on my end. But I'm going to be playing it through Vimeo, and it starts on Vimeo at the Barry Films logo. And so if you want to sync up that YouTube version with what I've got, or if on the off chance some of you that might be watching have the actual AFGA, I believe, DVD that came out, as far as I know, there's no Blu-ray that's out. I wish there was, but there is not, unfortunately, as far as I'm aware. So, on the off chance that some of you watching may have that DVD, feel free to sync that up to where it says Barry Films, and you should be good to go. So, a little housekeeping stuff to get out of the way before I get started because Blood Lake is not a very long movie anyway. I think it's about an hour and 21 minutes, which is why I started it or I'm starting the stream. I started at 6 o'clock because I figured that way we could get through the movie and then people could go on about the rest of their night if they had the rest of their night planned, instead of doing this one later. Now, I do want to remind everybody that the Pieces Watch Along is tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So I know there were several of you that were interested in that. So feel free to stop by, bring your friends, bring your popcorn, bring your beverage of choice, and we'll enjoy the masterpiece that is Pieces. So a little more about some housekeeping stuff, and then I'm going to show off something that I just got in that I'm really excited about. It's not horror related, but it is vinyl related, and so I haven't even had a chance to open it up because it just came in from Amazon, but I will show it off on here. So anyway, as I've been saying during these last few streams, I do have a new Deadites on Deck Facebook page. And that is where from here on out I'm going to be posting when I'm going to have a stream. I've been trying to do better about doing these early enough where people can see them a few days in advance. I do apologize that this one wasn't in advance, and sometimes I tend to forget about my Cheese Extreme Wednesdays and don't put them up as early as I should. However, if you join the or like the Deadites on Deck page, you should be able to keep up on when I'm going to have a stream. Also, people that subscribe to my Evil Dead Chick channel on YouTube, which is where I do the Deadites on Deck streams, I believe you will get notifications in your email. You may have to turn those notifications on. I'm not sure, but that should be another way that you can keep, ahead of the game when I'm going to have a stream. I do apologize that sometimes I just last minute think of doing a stream, get an idea for a stream. And Steve says I really shouldn't do that, but it just occurs to me sometimes to do a stream. So I have that link in the description on the videos. I also have a link to my Etsy shop where you can get some horror candles, some Last Driving candles, some horror stickers, Last Driving stickers. Soon I'm hoping to have the Blood Lake stickers, including the Little Tony sticker. I already have some of the Little Tony ones made up. I just have not just yet put them on my shop. And hopefully I'll be able to have some. Hey, Darren. Cool. You've never seen this one. So I think you're in for a treat, Darren. So I'm glad there's at least somebody that's going to be in here tonight. Hey, Menelect. Well, that's two people we've got in here. And I haven't even gotten started yet. So it's probably good that I, started off with the housekeeping stuff first, just to give people a little bit of time to get in here. So my Morbid Beauty Boutique shop, my Etsy shop, there's a link in the description for this video on that. There is also my TeePublic storefront. There's a link for that. If you click on any of these links and they do not work or do not take you to the page that's expected, please let me know and I will try to get you a URL that will work. I am also hoping in the near future to be able to do my own t-shirts and sell them through Etsy, because I have so much trouble with some of these actual t-shirt places where they do the legwork of making the shirts for you and shipping them out and all of that, which I will have to ship out the shirts myself, but Etsy allows me to have a storefront where I can put all this stuff on it. And so I'm thinking of doing like a heat transfer type of process. So you get a heat transfer press or a heat press, and you can basically do the shirts on your own. And again, Steve says, why don't you just stick with TeePublic? Well, I will have the TeePublic stuff, but again, I'm not greedy for money, but I only get $2 per shirt. And I feel bad that people say, hey, I'm supporting Dana, I'm supporting Deadites on Deck, and I'm getting a shirt. Well, you are, but because TeePublic is the way it is, they're going to take the majority of the profits. So I figure if I sell them through my Etsy shop, I'm going to have to do a little more legwork, but I will get the majority of the profits. Now, Etsy takes a small cut, a small fee, but it's not anything like TeePublic. So, all that's out of the way. Now, I wanted to show you, before we get started with the watch along, I wanted to show you this thing that I am so excited about. And I hope that's not a bend in it. But this thing is really heavy. I think it's like several pounds. I don't know if you can tell what this is. I hope you can see that Almost Famous on there. For those of you that have seen the Almost Famous movie, you will recognize that. Let me show you the back here. Like I said, I haven't even taken the shrink wrap off of this sucker yet because it just came in. And let me show you that. I don't think I showed the other side. And what this is the deluxe version, the vinyl version of the Almost Famous soundtrack with all these goodies and extras. So again, I'm really, really excited. I almost don't want to open it. It's so cool looking. But it is a 6 LP super deluxe edition, 180 gram vinyl. It's got nearly 3.5 hours of music from the film, 47 songs, 18 memorable film dialogue quotes, which I always like that when they put quotes from actual dialogue from the film interspersed with the music. I just think that just adds another layer to it. Some people may not like that, but I always love it. You get 5 unreleased recordings, including Elton John's Tiny Dancer, newly mixed with cast performance, The Who, Amazing Journey, and Sparks' unique mix from film, Neil Young, Cortez the Killer live. Plus, you get these collectible bonus items. You get Williams' high school notebook, houses a 40-page booklet with unreleased photos, dedications, anecdotes, and memories from Cameron Crowe, cast members, and crew. The Rolling Stone newsprint with Stillwater cover, plus the complete William Miller story about Stillwater, Stillwater Fillmore East poster, 2 replica ticket stubs from San Diego and Cleveland shows. So hopefully I can show you the actual stuff in there later on in another stream. When I have opened this and taken the shrink wrap off. But I'm going to put it down here because, like I said, this thing is super, super heavy. It actually came in its own box. Okay, so with all that out of the way, so Darren, Milek, are you guys queued up with a version of the film that you can watch? Just give me a thumbs up, yay, nay, whatever, before we get started. So I've got the YouTube link up there where, Darren, you're good? Okay. I also added the YouTube link as well as the Vimeo link in case for whatever reason the Vimeo link did not work for you. Darren, did the Vimeo link work for you, or are you watching it some other way? Because I know Tubi has it, but I don't know how many people have the commercial-free Tubi. So I didn't really mention that early on. If Darren's using the Vimeo version, he's using the same version that I am. I actually have the DVD, but I'm lazy and didn't want to, fool with hooking up the the DVD ROM, or DVD drive, whatever you want to call it, to my computer because my new gaming computer does not have a drive in it. So I had to buy one separately and then hook it up. Okay. So, Darren, did you hear me say that that version that's on YouTube is got, or the only version I can find where it's got the full movie, it's got a Spanish guy or two talking over top of it. So, what I would suggest is just muting the audio because I'm going to mute my audio too. Because otherwise, I think it's going to be very distracting to you to hear not only the movie dialogue, but also these guys talking over top of it in Spanish. Um, Unless, of course, you understand Spanish, and then it's like I said, it's been um, years since I actually have taken a Spanish class, so my Spanish is, I don't really remember anything other than the booklet we used or the textbook we used called Churros y Chocolate, donuts and chocolate, I think, or something like that. That's what it was. Excuse me. Hopefully, I won't get a coughing fit. I do have some more cough medicine from the doctor. If I have to get up, I'll just leave the movie playing for for a few seconds. I'll go away and get my pills and my cough pills and take those. Um, yeah, okay. So, Menelect, how about you? Do you have, is there, you got a version queued up that you can use, either the Vimeo version or the YouTube version? I'm going to go ahead and get started regardless here in just a second because it's 6:20 now and I don't want to keep you guys too awfully long, but I'll give it a minute or so. Um, and then I guess if anybody joins us later when we're in the middle of the movie, they can try to sync up or they can just sit here and listen to me blab, whatever they wanted to do. And again, we're having the regularly scheduled Pieces watch along tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So I know there were several of you that were excited about that. So I'm going to give it to about 6:21, and then we're going to get this party started and start this watch along. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I was hoping that I could mute this. I may just have to mute my audio all the way because I'm not sure if I can, if I could mute this audio. Maybe I should have downloaded it. Oh well. So let's just, and then I'll just have to remember to, okay. So I'm going to do the 3, 2, 1, and then I'm going to hit play. Again, we're on the Barry Film logo. So is everybody ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, and I just figured out how to turn that audio off. Hold on. Let's just, there we go. Hold on just a second. We'll do the 3, 2, 1 again. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Now then. Alright, so let's try this sucker again. We're on the Barry Film logo. 3, 2, 1. Press play. Okay. So we're, Barry Film presents a BL Movie Corporation production. Tim Boggs. Steve joked that he played baseball, and of course Steve was referring to Wade Boggs for anybody that knows anything about baseball. Now, I tell you, if anybody is watching this on Vimeo, the transfer's pretty shitty. But like I said, I was too lazy to get all my stuff hooked up to play my DVD through here, so I'm just watching on Vimeo. And this was something I wondered about when Steve and I were doing a commentary for this a while back. Was why would somebody that has a house like that? I'm not saying it's not a nice house. I'm just saying having a gardener I thought was like for super rich people, and that just like basically looked like a lake cottage. I didn't think that they would actually need a gardener. Now, as Steve said, we're into rock and roll here. If you are hearing any of the audio, this is a group, Voyager, that does the music for this film. This film was actually filmed in Oklahoma, as was both Offerings and Terror Tenkiller, I believe. So for a time there, I guess maybe Oklahoma cornered the market on horror movies. Andrea Adams, her name just flashed up there. You're going to see her here shortly. There is Travis Krasser, who plays Little Tony, and Doug Barry is driving. But I discovered last night when I was trying to find a version of this film for people to watch on YouTube that there's like a shot on video channel on YouTube, and I subscribed to it because they talked to a lot of different people that were connected with shot on video films. And Andrea Adams, who, like I said, you're going to see here shortly in the car, is interviewed. That's not her. But like I said, we're going to see her here shortly if I haven't already missed her. But if we have missed her in the car, we will see her soon. And Steve also talked about this. One of the music supervisors is Stephen Lee. I think maybe like Stephen Lee Robertson. Here's another thing I don't understand. Little Tony is supposed to be Mike's brother. That's Doug Barry's character. And it might be understandable that they're taking him along, but why are they taking this girl who's from Little Tony's class? Why are they taking her with them? Okay, here is Andrea Adams in the pink there, real quick. She is the one they did the interview with, and she has super, super short hair now. I mean, you can still tell it's her. Steve made a joke about Danny Thomas as well when we did the commentary. And I believe Doug Barry did like the screenplay, and I think he did producing duties on this film as well. Like I said, with some of these others, I'm going to switch back and forth to see if anybody's chatting in there. Don't see anybody doing that. So we're going to go back to the movie. And they're going to Cedar Lake. I hear Steve heating something up. I was going to heat him up something before I came back here, but he wasn't quite ready for it. So, and evidently they have a Cedar Lake chapel as well. I'm guessing either you go there to pray or you can go there to get married or whatever. But the dogs are having a fit, of course. But as promised, as I've said before when I've talked about Blood Lake in previous streams, Little Tony must be the most oversexed preteen child I have ever seen. He constantly talks about having sex with Susan, the other young girl that just got out of the car there. I have never seen a movie that portrays a child that age in this particular manner. You know, there have been the sleepaway camp movies where the boys run around trying to get pictures of the girls with their tops off and stuff like that, but they're never that oversexed. That is what part of what makes this movie so hilarious is the fact that little Tony is just constantly saying things. And I'm sure that was mostly the script, but from the way they talk about this kid, I wish somebody would do an interview with him now as a grown man. That would be great. But so far, I haven't seen any interviews with him. It would have been awesome if they could have gotten a bunch of people together from this movie to do a commentary when they put this DVD out recently. But like the dialogue in general is, if you are hearing any of the dialogue, some of the dialogue, most of the dialogue is classic. And I'm sure some of it is because these are really, for the most part, non-actors. I think Andrea Adams was an actual actress, but Doug Barry, I don't think he had ever acted. I'm almost sure that these two young kids had not acted before. So you're pretty much dealing with, like I said, non-actors. So little Tony is going to come out the door here, and here is one of the classic lines. He's like, "Hey, Mike, are you going to be a butthole this weekend, or are you going to let me drink?" And that just makes me laugh every single time I hear it. So I love that quote so much and think it's classic. And so when I actually make those t-shirts and have little Tony on there, I've got to have that quote on there. The stickers that I've made actually have that quote on there. But he has other classic lines as well. It's also been said that this was pretty much a vacation that they filmed. Now, there is another film, a short film, that is called Blood Lake, where a kid actually says, "Hey, this was my family's vacation, and we turned it into a horror film, or a short horror film." So I'm not really sure if this was an actual vacation or people were getting it mixed up with that kid's short film that he made. And by kid, I mean really a kid. I'm talking about maybe a 13, 14-year-old that just filmed things on their vacation and then added some horror elements. But this house was owned by the girls, the real girl, I believe Angela Darter is her name. Her dad really did own this cottage that they're staying at. She was not really dating Doug Barry. As far as I know, they were not together. That's just for this film. And Doug Barry, actually, I wish he had done the commentary on the DVD with Tim Boggs, the director. But you do, if you do get that DVD, you do get to see like a Q&A with Tim Boggs and Doug Barry. And Doug Barry pretty much looks the same, only he's, I mean, I'm not saying it's a beer belly, but it kind of, you know, we all get a little heavier when we get older. So in his face, he looks, you know, you can tell it's Doug Barry. But he is a little bit older and, you know, a little bit chunkier, you know, but, and I guess that is a little more than a cottage. It's pretty big, that house. Now Now this scene is kind of funny coming up here. The kids are kind of examining the dock and looking at the lake and stuff. But right here, it appears that there's a dead body in the lake already. So she's screaming for Mike to come out. But, and here comes Doug Barry to the rescue. And, it's a trick. It's a trick. They played a trick on. Now, some of you guys may think that what Andrea Adams has on, these outfits that she has on, like this pink number she's got on now, you may think that's sexy, but I don't know. I hate that kind of stuff. I never did like it back in the 80s, those outfits. But, you know, Steve definitely liked the hair from the late 80s. He always talks about that. He thinks that was hot on chicks. But I hope you guys are enjoying this movie as much as I always do. Steve probably thinks, oh, Dirk, you need to know the timestamp. Okay, let's do, we are at about 12 minutes in. They are messing with the boat, Dirk. Let me catch up on what you got. Man, I missed a bunch of stuff there while I was talking. Yeah, I don't know where old Curly Jaws is, Darren. I figured he would want to be here for this. Actually, Darren, me and Steve watched Dark Waters a little bit earlier. Hey, Craig. Yeah, 1987 mullets, Darren, definitely. Hey, Dirk. So, Dirk, you say, man, I've been deep diving on some films the past week. Crazy. Hey, John. You say, hey, all, watching from start, so may not be up to date with live. Almost Famous, great film. I need the 4K. Yes, you do. And I highly recommend, if you have a way to play vinyl, or even if you don't have a way to play vinyl, that deluxe set that I showed a little bit earlier, I highly recommend that to everybody. Darren, you say, I not long saw Dark Waters, Dirk. Craig, you say, Monday I watched the funny, hilarious Blood Glory movie. It's called Ooga Booga. You got to watch it if you've never seen it. It's the same guy who made Puppet Master. I'll have to check that one out, Craig. Let's see. Darren, you say you can pretty much tell this is 1987 through the hair and fashions. Yes, definitely. Yeah, John, I love the soundtrack to this. Steve might laugh at me, but like, I think you maybe can get most of the songs through YouTube if you want to rip them from YouTube. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You're talking about Almost Famous. Yes, that soundtrack is killer. Yeah, you can get it from Amazon. It's, it's not too pricey, even for this super deluxe set. All right. Yeah, I finally got my Tenebrae too, Dirk. And I actually watched it. Not the Unsane version, because I don't know if I'm even going to watch the Unsane version. I might. But as far as I know, it's the cut version. So I'm like, why? Unless you just want to make a comparison or something. But yeah, I thought it Tenebrae looked awesome on 4K. let's see, I'm going to switch back to the movie here. And now they're meeting up with some neighbors. One of these guys, and I'm thinking it's the blonde guy, which you probably can't tell because this is so dark and murky. But the blonde haired guy, I think that is Angela Darter's real brother. Um, and you notice them shaking hands there. I asked Steve about that, and he said, "Yeah, at that point in time, you had to do that respect shit," is the way he put it. Shaking dudes' hands when you meet up with them and stuff. There's a really old phone, 1987 phone, with a big old antenna on it. Now, near the beginning of the film, when they first got to the cottage, they noticed that there was some food in the refrigerator that was not theirs. And so they just basically threw it all out. Now, if it had been me, I believe I would have kept it. If it hadn't went bad. There was mayonnaise and stuff like that. You could have used it to make sandwiches. But they threw it away, which I kind of thought was kind of odd. But perhaps they thought, well, how did it get here? Maybe it's poisoned or something, and they just wanted to get rid of it. A lot of this film is dark and murky, which a lot of the action, of course, takes place at night. Keep in mind this was shot on video, so it's gonna, it's not gonna have the best quality. Like I said, my DVD is a little bit better than this, but it was hard for me to even find any still photos that were really plain to use for my advertisement for this. So a lot of those were fuzzy. That's another reason I'd like to really see a Blu-ray of it. Steve would probably be like, why would you need a Blu-ray of this film? So another thing, and I don't think they've showed it yet. I think it's later on. They offer, well, maybe it's now. See how he's bringing the beer, and they're going to let the kids have beer. It's like, it wasn't real beer, obviously. And the marijuana that you see them supposedly smoking, Andrea Adams confirmed that they smoked a lot of oregano. So she said they probably should have smoked real weed. It probably would have been a lot funnier, but she confirmed that both the beer and the marijuana were not real. Maybe that was apple juice or something instead of beer. I don't know. And obviously they don't want to have to clean any real plates, so they're eating off paper plates. I don't think I've ever seen one of these things that sprays the water on little Tony when he pulls the little string on it. I don't know if you guys have seen anything like that. Was that something that was around in the 80s? And here's more of little Tony talking about how he's going to get in Susan's pants. And like he's trying to run with the big dogs here, basically. And, most of this movie, I like the character of Mike. He seems like he really cares about his girlfriend and everything. But in this one scene, he's talking about this chick that he used to date, and they smoked pot, and he passed out during an hour-long foreplay session. And then he says he tried to hook up with her again quite recently, the way he's talking. And she didn't want to have anything to do with him. And it's like, dude, why would you be doing that when you're supposedly serious about your girlfriend? So then the girls are coming in here. And you'll notice Susan's sitting really close to little Tony. I completely do not understand this relationship between these two kids. Um, I mean, she's obviously sitting really close to him. At that age, I wouldn't have been really sitting that close to any boys. But of course, I was a late bloomer, so maybe this was normal. But maybe you guys can clue me in to how things were back way back when. Uh, um, Darren, this has come out on DVD by I believe it was AFGA, the same people that did Bleeding Skull, if you're familiar with Bleeding Skull. I think there were a couple of books that they put out. The first one being like super expensive now to try to get your hands on. Um, and so I think it's Annie Choi, and I'm trying to remember the guy's name that do these things, and they're the ones that have put out several of these shot on video, really super low budget movies. I don't know if they've actually put any out on Blu-ray, but the last I checked, you could still get this one from Amazon, but let me just double check for you. I finally broke down and bought the DVD because, I waited around a little while to see if maybe a Blu-ray would come out. And unfortunately, it didn't. Well, maybe. Well, if you want to get the DVD now, I purchased it July 17th, 2020. So I got my copy a couple of years ago. Now the DVD is going on Amazon. It's going for $35.98. And that's used copies. The new ones, new from $48.95. And Sammy's back here. So, you might want to check, you might want to check eBay to see if anybody might have it a little bit cheaper. But this, it's AGFA, I'm sorry, and Bleeding Skull. They're the ones that put these out. And like I said, they have put out several of these shot on video, low budget jobbies. Ninja Zombies, one that they put out. Scary Movie, and not that scary movie that's kind of like kind of making fun of Scream. They put out Effects. They put out The Sword and the Claw. Yeah, you could probably just put AGFA in, and some stuff would come up. Yeah, when I put AGFA in, they have things like The God Monster of Indian Flats, Waka Leewood Super Action Volume 1, Who Killed Captain Alex, plus Bad Black. The films of Sarah Jacobson, Mary Jane's Not a Virgin Anymore, plus I Was a Teenage Serial Killer. They put out The Zodiac Killer, The Violent Years, Suburban Sasquatch, I think was one they put out. The Soul Tangler. They put out the AGFA Horror Trailer Show. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that they put out. Now, guys, we're to the the awesome water skiing scene. There's a lot of water skiing in this movie. Evidently, in Oklahoma at least, or in 1987, water skiing was the thing to do. I think Steve's even done a little water skiing in his life. Um, Not for many, many years, but when he was a lot younger, he did. Um, Angela Darter, they said, was real. Andrea Adams said that she was really good at skiing, and you can see her there. Um, she really seems to know what she's doing. I probably would have done fell on my face, actually, if I was trying to do that. But it looks fun. I don't know how many of you guys have water skied. But this is what, what Joe Bob would probably refer to as gratuitous. When he's talking about different things, he'll say gratuitous whatever. He would definitely say this is gratuitous water skiing. Um, let's see. John, you say, speaking of soundtracks, I didn't realize this, but that Rainbow Eyes intro is done by Sorcery. They did the music to Rocktober Blood, of course, but also Stunt Rock. LOL. Stunt Rock is fucking silly. Um, I've heard of Stunt Rock, but I don't think I've seen it. Um, John, you say, Sorcery is kind of rare, like Fastway with Trick or Treat. If I see their stuff, I'd buy it. Yeah, me too. I would buy this Voyager's soundtrack to Blood Lake as well. Um, Dirk, you say never saw that Haggad squirter. No, I didn't know if that was just something they put in this film or was that a popular thing in '87. I just had no clue. John, you say it was on Vinegar Syndrome site, right? I thought it may have been at one time. Actually, Steve was under the assumption when that first came out that it was a Blu-ray. And I looked and I looked and I looked and I could not find a Blu-ray. The only thing I could find was this DVD. And so, like I said, I waited a little while to see if a Blu-ray surfaced. And it did not. And so I just finally broke down and bought the DVD. Dargy, so you can get that second Hitchcock set on Groove with 20% off code. Sign up 2035 ship. Ooh, I'll have to look into that. You say also great Superman set on Amazon for $40. John, you say Superman 1 and 2 are the best. I have the Richard Donner cut of 2, but prefer original, Dirk. Darren, you say, John, I think you're thinking of Bloodhook. That's a possibility because, so many things have blood in the title. You've got Blood Hook, you've got Blood Harvest, Blood Lake, Blood Rage. So, yeah, it's possible. Dirk, you say, I've gotten dragged underwater while trying to water ski, LOL. I think Steve almost did. I don't think he actually did, thankfully, but after a while, he told him to like get him into the boat. He was done. Um, so now they're coming back because I think Susan she was trying to water ski. They were trying to teach her how to water ski, and there was a snake out in the lake. Well, duh, there's snakes in the lake sometimes. I used to swim in a lake when I was a kid. That's where my family went to fish and game, which was a lake near the house, and my family would go every summer. That's the lake where I was baptized at. In the middle of a thunderstorm, no doubt. And here's, another reason why I believe there's a God. Because when I got baptized, the minute the first person went into the water to get baptized, I mean, there were streaks of lightning coming down. The minute that first person walked into the lake to get baptized, it stopped. And I kid you not. So, again, that's another reason that I completely believe there is a God, because I just can't, I don't have any other explanation for why that would happen. Now, Steve would probably tell me it's coincidence, but I believe otherwise. Okay, no, so this is where, okay, this is very weird. Okay, this has got to be a goof because I thought that Susan had already seen the snake in the lake or felt the snake in the lake. But you notice the neighbor guys are with them. So then when she sees the snake and gets back in the boat, these guys aren't going to be there, I don't think. So there's like some kind of thing where they're like in the boat and not in the boat. So I'm guessing that was a continuity error. How you like those rainbow plaid shorts that little Tony's got on? Steve made fun of the little girl that plays Susan in this because of the way she talks. I mean, she is slightly annoying with all her screaming and stuff like that, but hey, she's a kid. Johnny said maybe vinegar syndrome partner labels, that's just them, right? Uh, yeah, they do. I think they do partner labels. Uh, John, you say, or is that really other people? LOL. John, you say, I never know what's a gimmick with these boutique labels. I don't either. I can't keep track of it all, unfortunately. Dirk, you say, yeah, that set has tons of features. 1978 to 2006, usually 129 for 40 now. Yeah. So here's where Susan's splashing around because she felt the snake swim past her foot or her leg or whatever. Um, now, I know there are people that don't like snakes, but like she's acting like it's a freaking water moccasin, which I don't think it is, or an alligator or something that's going to, do major harm to her. Um, Now, maybe this is where they talk about the snake, but I think that these guys disappear and reappear at some point, the two neighbor guys that are in the boat right now. Um, Will Tony's actually being not sexual towards her, and actually he seems like he's concerned about Susan's well-being. But it's like she's it's like she's regressed to like 5 years old or something, chewing on her finger there. I just think that's a little excessive. So now they're gonna head back because Susan got brushed by a snake. Let's see if these dudes are. Let's see if these dudes remain in the boat. Now here's Andrea Adams showing up again. See, those guys are not. Well, yeah, they are, but I could have sworn at some point that these guys they reappear and appear and reappear rather. This is gonna make a liar out of me, but I could have sworn. So they're getting out of the boat now. Let's see if they show back up here. Because I could have sworn they go back out and go water skiing again. And see, at first I thought this was a private lake, and then I started seeing all these other people. And it's like, where in the hell did all these people come from? And Steve was like, oh, it's a public lake, I guess, dang it. And I was like, oh, okay. And that woman looks like she's just laying on a raft in the middle of the weeds. There's some ducks. And I don't know. I don't think that at that age I would have just sat out on the grass because when I was a kid, I did stupid stuff like that, like sitting out in the grass. And next thing you know, and this might be a country term. Some of you that aren't so southern or so country might say, "What in the hell are you talking about?" But chiggers was a big thing when I was a kid. And I mean, that's what we called them. We called them chiggers, and you would get itchy bites all over you. Um, and so I would, when I got to the age that these people are at this point, I don't think I would have been sitting in the grass because I wouldn't have wanted to be eaten up by chiggers and mosquitoes and Lord knows what else, ticks, but, and I think these two guys, see, I could have sworn, see, they're in the boat there. How can they be in the boat and walking up this path? I told you there was a scene there where there was, see, they're here and they're in the boat. And I think they're going to see the killer here. And they kind of say, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" They're going, and this is, why on earth does this guy, why does his one pants leg is over his boot and the other one it's pushed up on top of his boot? So that doesn't make any sense. This guy is actually played by a guy named Tiny Frazier, who was a wrestler at one time. I don't know what company he wrestled for, but he was a wrestler at one time.
You said wrestling!
Oh, God. It's the Blue Phantom.
I wrestled! Yeah!
We had a special guest, the Blue Phantom. Okay. Anyway, back to the chat here. John, you say, "I know we don't talk superhero movies, but if y'all want to get a great looking 4K, get Batman 1989. Looks incredible." I don't think Steve has that one. Maybe
Which one?
Batman from 1989 in 4K. It looks incredible, John says.
No, I want to get it.
So actually, we picked up the
What
new.
the hell is this?
That is my super deluxe version of Almost Famous that was on sale. And don't break it.
On sale for how much?
Well, you know how much I spent, so.
Okay, so it was less than $30? That's crazy.
Well, that's why I got it. But
I guess it's got the album in there or something.
yeah, it has.
The
It has
vinyl?
some LPs.
Yes, they Sweetwater.
No, it's still water, dear.
Whatever.
Anyway, back to the chat here. Actually, me and Steve did pick up. Well, I got it for Steve for an anniversary present. The steelbook of the new Doctor Strange movie, which I also like. My dad always says, "Don't ever buy anything that you can't use or enjoy yourself." So I'm kind of going by what my dad says. Let's see. John, you say, "I wonder if a Blu-ray would help for this movie if it was shot on video." I guess it could help some. Probably a little bit. I wouldn't expect a humongous change. But another thing that I was hoping for is if they put it out on Blu-ray, maybe they could get Andrea Adams to do another interview, or maybe port it over from that shot on video channel on YouTube. Maybe they could get the permission to do that. Maybe they could do a new commentary. Maybe Doug Barry and some of the other people connected with the film would be on it. I just think that would be awesome. Dirk, you said, "We definitely be in the shade and off spray was a must." Exactly. Yes, John, dirt daubers. Yes, chiggers and dirt daubers, a.k.a. the southern bugs. Exactly. Dirk, you say, "Dana, here in Louisiana and Texas, cattlemen tuck in one leg in a boot if they have 100 head of cattle and two if they have 200 or more. I know it's silly." Well, maybe that's what, unfortunately, I don't know about all that stuff. But that's an interesting little tidbit of information. Maybe that's what was going on with this guy. I mean, these are Oklahoma people, evidently. So maybe people in Oklahoma do things like Texas people. Um, now is the quarters scene where I don't know how many of you have played quarters. I have never actually physically played quarters. I think Steve did when he was in the army, he said. But the only time I have ever, I guess, considered play that I played quarters was through the Leisure Suit Larry games. One of the new Leisure Suit Larry games, you play quarters to try to get a woman in bed or whatever. But goodness gracious, I don't know what Steve's watching where it's got the woman screaming all the time. But anyway, they're playing quarters in this scene, and like near the end of this scene, you can tell that the two neighbor guys are just completely wasted. And they are supposed to be smoking marijuana as well. But as I said earlier, Andrea Adams confirmed that the beer and the marijuana both were not real. The marijuana was really oregano, and I'm not sure what the beer was. Could have been, like I said, apple juice. That might have looked like beer. Uh, but these guys, most people are starting to look pretty wasted about this time. Um, and my light, of course, went off. So I'm going to go change out the battery in it. Um, After Brandon knocked over my tripod the other night, the other one broke. So I had to get a new tripod. So hopefully I'll be able to use both of my lights the next time I do a stream, maybe, if I can get them set up properly. I hope y'all can hear me since I've stepped away from the mic. And so now you see, you see, little Tony and Susan are laying on the floor like little kids. It's hilarious. I mean, like real little kids. I don't think at the age they were, I don't think I would lie on the floor like that. Um, let's see. Darky say, "Oh yeah, quarters and beer pong." LOL. Yeah, I've heard beer pong mentioned as well. Not on this movie, but in general. I don't know if Steve ever played beer pong, but oh shoot, I forgot that. I noticed a streak on my green screen image, and that's because I forgot to turn this light off back here. Can't forget to do that. And skeeters, yeah, exactly. Um, you guys get it for the most part because some of y'all are from around this area, or some of you are from other areas where you get the lingo. I mean, like you've heard the Dead Pit Boys talk about different ways that they say things, like saying "boss," talking about boys. Like instead of saying "you boys," it's like "boss." And there's different things, but like I grew up hearing like my dad's mom saying "pert near," which I always took to mean almost, but really that's not a real term. That's just something I grew up hearing somebody say. Like my grand one time, she was like upset about something. She said a pert near said shit. And it's just, you know, you grow up hearing these things that are not necessarily real terminology even real words, but you grew up hearing these things, and so it just enters into your vocabulary. Down yonder, yeah. Pert near was something that I heard my grand say, I heard my dad say, um, and just like, you know, talking about older people would talk about, like my granny, my mom's mom would talk about roads around town, or you know, close to us all, and like I would always go by what the road name actually was, but my granny was more old school, and there was this one road near mom and dad's house that she would say, "Oh, you mean that old pear orchard road?" And you'd be like, "Huh, pear orchard road? What are you talking about?" But that's what they referred to it as. That's what the old timers, I guess you would say, would refer to this particular road. They wouldn't refer to it by the new road name that was actually on signs. They knew it as the old pear orchard road. So I don't know. Steve probably has stories that he could tell about his grandparents too, but I don't ever like. Every once in a while, me and Steve will talk about the grandparents, but not often. Uh, Darren, you say I picked up a lot of your lingo through Dead Pit. Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, they're Eastern Kentucky. I'm like Northern Kentucky and like Western Kentucky and Northern Kentucky, or and now it's kind of like, well, it's not really Central Kentucky because that's Lexington, but I guess you would call this like Northern Kentucky. So I still have the accent because there's certain people that I talk to through my job in IT, because Stockyards has branches in like Indianapolis, they have them in Lexington, they have them in Cincinnati. They just have them all different places. So, and I didn't grow up in Louisville. I'm not from Louisville. I am from Hancock County, which is about 30 minutes from Davis County, where Owensboro is. That's what I always tell people. So they ask me from time to time when I'm on a call with somebody trying to help them with an IT issue. They'll say, "Where are you from? You know, I noticed you got that accent." I was talking to a guy the other day who's actually from Evansville, and he thought maybe I was from West Virginia, the way I talked. Um, not from West Virginia, but I am from Western Kentucky. Uh, Fit to be tied, yeah. My gran would also say it just flew all over me. You know, if somebody said something that pissed her off, she'd say, "Yeah, that just flew all over me." That was another thing that I heard quite a bit. Dougie said, "My mom would say when I was in trouble, I'm going to beat the fire out of you, LOL." Yeah, I think I got told that a few times as well, growing up. Uh, my dad would also say, and Dad never hurt me and my brother. He was not one to beat on us. He would lose his temper from time to time, but Dad's thing was he'd say, "I'm going to cut the blood out of you." Now I don't know if you guys have ever been told that when you got in trouble, but that was something that Dad said. But of course, he never acted on it. Um, anyway, I'm going to go back to the movie here. Um, so we just saw that I think he just killed those two neighbor boys. Um, well, he hasn't killed the blonde guy yet, but he killed the other one. This guy's going to bite it here soon. And you can see what I mean about how dark and murky these shots are, and it's hard to see anything really. I think I would be running a little bit faster if it was me and I was trying to get away from this guy, but I think he got him. Yeah. So he's basically got him tied to a tree. It almost looks like he's being crucified. I'm not trying to be blasphemous, but that's what it looks like to me. And it looks like he's got a handkerchief in his mouth. Um, so this killer kind of takes his time, but then when he gets ready to kill you, he's going to do you in. So he's got that knife there, and you think he's going to, like, looks like he's going to stab him in the damn eye with that thing. He's stabbing him. Yeah. And I just say, in reality, of course, you could imagine that these guys could have gotten away from this guy, because the guy's clearly a big guy that's doing the killing. So I wouldn't think he would be that fast. And I would figure these young guys could get away. Um, there's some more ducks on the lake. And here shortly, I'm guessing this guy is either a sheriff or a sheriff's deputy or something like that. That's going to show up at the house where the kids are at to let Mike know that something has happened to these boys, that they had struck up a friendship with. Um, if this is a public lake, though, I didn't really understand why nobody discovered these boys prior to this sheriff's deputy or sheriff or whatever he is. I forgot if they even mentioned why he is there. If somebody saw something strange and they called this dude, but here he is. And he basically has Mike come out with him, and he shows him the two bodies. And I think he asked him if he knows these boys. It's just kind of odd, how this whole thing is set up, or it's like, yeah, let's go walk down here and walk down to the dock here, and I'm going to show you your dead friends here. It's almost like they're just, I mean, Mike has a disgusted, like he's going to be sick. But they're just basically walking down there like he's going to show him some fish he just caught or something. And you got one dead guy laying there. And then next we're going to see the guy that was tied to the tree and stabbed to death. It's just so blatant how they're just, it's almost feels like a Friday the 13th movie, only this stuff wouldn't have been in broad daylight. If this had been a Friday the 13th movie, these people would have been falling out of trees and be dead in cars and stuff like that. When you open the door, they fell out and different things like that. I just find it odd that this is in broad daylight. That the killer just left these bodies there instead of like dragging them somewhere and hiding them for later. Because I think the gardener that he killed at the beginning, I think he shows up in that shed. The shed that's supposedly supposed to be locked. I think that's where the killer is like hiding out. So I guess this guy is going to have to go and like take that dead guy down from the tree, or they're going to have to call the ambulance or something. I don't know what they're going to have to do to get those bodies. But they're clearly upset over the whole thing. But Andrea Adams' character and her boyfriend in this movie, they act pretty oblivious to the whole thing. and just want to, like, they seem upset for about 2 seconds, and then they're like, yeah, we're bored. Eventually they're like, we're bored. We want to go out and do something. And Mike, doesn't want them to, but we're going to see that coming up. We're about almost an hour into this movie. See, they're just like playing around like there wasn't just two dead guys out there. It's like, I know they didn't know them very well, but good Lord, have a little compassion. Meanwhile, Becky seems overly depressed. So, Dirk, you say you're watching it on Tubi. Yeah, I did say earlier that it was on Tubi, but again, I didn't know how many people had the commercial-free Tubi, which I didn't know if that was going to cause any issues for you if you didn't have the commercial-free version. Darren, you said this film is giving me a Don't Panic vibe. I think it's the mullets, lol. Darky say he's just an Okie from Muskogee. Oh, yeah, Dark, this is excellent acting. Oh, great, you have the ad free, so that is awesome. And these are typical 1987 outfits, and I think they went out to get them some food. So they did actually step out for a little bit. Well, I think they left Andrea Adams and her boyfriend there. And it's like, I think Mike told them to stay in the house. Of course, they didn't listen. They went outside and are messing around like nothing happened. And this is beginning to make Mike more and more irritated. Yep, there they are. They went out on the lake again. And Mike is mad because Mike's trying to be the protector of everybody, and they're not listening at all. And things are going to come to a head here shortly with Mike getting really, and they got the pot out again, or the oregano rather. Those two are major potheads. But it's going to come to a head here shortly, and Mike's going to get really, really upset with them. Because it's going to get dark, and they're going to want to go out on the boat in the dark. And at night is when those two guys got killed, and again, they just don't seem to care. And little Tony is like, all of a sudden he's pissed for no reason. He's flipping people off. Yeah, I think they're just bored, so they're wanting to go outside on the boat. And I think this is where Mike gets super pissed because he just cannot believe that they're going to actually go outside. And he tries to be calm about it at first, and they're just not having none of it. They're just totally ignoring him. That's a great look that he gives Andrea Adams there. And then he's like, just go ahead then. Go get killed. And the whole thing is they want to be alone. Why don't they just go upstairs to the bedroom if they're wanting to have sex and lock the door and just do it that way? Of course, again, we wouldn't have as many kills in this movie as we do. I still have no idea what Steve is watching, but it's like ear-piercing screams every once in a while. Um, Now we have VHS vision. It's super blurry, and that red filter is not helping anything at all. Dougie said I was rocking the mullet back then with ripped jeans and concert tees, Maiden mainly. Yeah, you would have fit right in with this crowd, Dark. I'm not saying that in a bad way or anything, but this must have been pretty much how the regular folks were in 1987. I'm sure Steve was, doing about the same thing at that time. Actually, speaking of when Steve was a lot younger, you know, of course, I'm married to Steve and I love him. I think he's, I don't want to gross you guys out or anything. You're probably be like, oh, don't talk about it. But I think he's hot now. But like, I've seen video that he did when he was probably in his 20s. And, if I had been old enough then, of course I wasn't, um, I would have, he probably wouldn't have wanted nothing to do with me then. But man, if I'd been old enough, I would have been after his ass in a heartbeat. Because, I mean, Steve had, he had a good body and everything, and he still, keeps up that body pretty good. But like I said, I met Steve, later in life. It was later in life for both of us. So I like the way he looks now as well. But like I said, I'm sure he was, like you said, Dirk, rocking that stuff back then. And Steve had hair back then too. So, uh, and so he had, more to deal with. I don't know if Steve ever had what you call a mullet, but maybe he did. He talks like he started losing his hair at an early age. But I really don't know how early we're talking about. I don't know if it was not until his 30s or it was actually in late 20s. Some people's hair starts going gray in their 20s, so go figure. Uh, so now they're out on the boat, these two. Can't really see it that good. Again, it's very dark and very murky. But you can tell that they're kind of making out there, and I guess they're moving towards having sex. Why you would, of course, I wasn't old enough in '87 to be thinking about having sex with anybody. Um, and maybe this was a thing. Maybe people, when they were younger, would have sex whenever and wherever. And I just didn't understand that because I was too young. Because I was what? In '87, I was what? All of 11? So I was definitely not thinking of that then. Steve was a little bit older than that. I think there's like, what, 7 years between me and Steve in ages, which isn't a lot now. But when I was 11 and he was the age he was, there was definitely a big gap there at that time. Oh boy, there's a lot of ducks around there. And believe it or not, there's not a whole lot more left to this movie. He's toast. There are some pretty cool special effects, I would say, in this movie, but unfortunately, you don't. Ew, and there's a spider. You don't get to see too much of them because when the action happens, it's so dark and murky. We probably got a little less than 20 minutes left. Darren, you say I saw Megadeth back in '87. I had the long hair, denim jacket too. See, I love these stories that people share about that because, like I said, at that time I was too young to really participate in any of that stuff. Dirk, you say, yeah, it's darker than hell. Yeah, I almost wish a Blu-ray could come out of this. Um, because I'd like to see if they could possibly lighten it up a little bit. Hey, I know it's shot on video, but still. So Mike's going out there looking for them. And there's people, I don't know what that guy and his kid are doing, if they're night fishing or what, but I think the father is kind of disgusted with those two that just got killed. And now they're hearing something out there, and Becky and little Tony and Susan are left in the house or cottage by themselves. So this is probably the most suspenseful the movie gets. And there's Mike. He's running around trying to find them. And so he's swimming out there to the boat. Meanwhile, Becky's kind of nervous because Mike's out there looking for the other people, and they know that people have already been killed. So, you know, people do this a lot in movies, not just these low budget shot on video movies, but they will turn all the lights off and hide. But this never works. It never ever works. And it doesn't matter if you're dealing with Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, or this dude in this movie. They're always going to figure out a way to find you. And Mike, by the way, has found his friends. And they're dead. And so the killer is busted in, and of course this is super dark. We can see the shadow of the knife there. And Brandon's coming back here. Hey, Brandon. And there's that creepy ass squirter thing. So now they're trying to get away from the killer, and I know this isn't going to work. And nobody ever has any light other than, I think, yeah, that's the gardener there. Nobody ever has a flashlight or anything like that. They're always dealing with lighters. But I guess when you're smoking so much pot, you're going to have lighters. And so he's tying them up, hanging them up there. But Susan got away, so she was a lucky one. And he's going to look for her for all of about 2 seconds, and he's going to say shit. And he's going to go back and harass the others. So I hope you guys are seeing what my obsession with this movie is. Or maybe not. You may be like Steve. You might be like, what in the hell? Why is she liking to watch this movie all the time? Dougie said, never got to see Megadeth, but did get to see Ozzy and Anthrax. No rest for the wicked. I'm the man on Halloween in 89 or 90, one of the two. Dare you say saw anthrax 4 times. Gutted I never got to see Ozzy. Um, Actually, I've never seen any of those people. But I have a friend back home that him and his wife have seen Ozzy a bunch of times. A bunch of times. So there, Mike's still running around in the dark. And so the killer is going to end up like stabbing Becky here shortly. And so I'm never really sure if Becky's going to live or she's going to die. But Susan's found Mike. And so he's basically telling her to go to safety, and he's going to try to get Becky and little Tony. So at this point, you're not sure if he's going to rape her or what. Rape her in front of little Tony or... But basically, you figure out what his motive is. And his motive is pretty weak, I will admit. His motive for killing everybody is that Becky's father got this house but never paid him for the house. He never saw any money for it. So there she just got stabbed. And it doesn't look like she really got stabbed anywhere, vital. So Mike's going to struggle with him. And Becky looks a little worse for wear hanging there. She doesn't look too alive. So Mike's trying to beat the hell out of this guy. We've seen that scene a lot of times, or I know I have, where they're repeatedly stabbing somebody. So Mike to the rescue. He's going to untie him. And Becky still doesn't look too good. And they're the sheriff or whoever shows up. We see Becky moving a little bit at this point. And we are going to see an ambulance here shortly. This is the most depressed little Tony ever looks. And I think, is it just me or has little Tony had a haircut? Which technically it happened in low budget films that they would have to stop filming for a little bit, or things got filmed out of order. And but clearly little Tony's hair looks shorter to me. And there's the ambulance. And from this part here, I'm assuming the Becky is still alive, and Mike's gonna ride in the ambulance possibly with Becky to the hospital. And I've never actually seen this, but I think little Tony and Susan actually get in the front of the ambulance with the ambulance driver. So her face is not covered up, so I assume she's still alive. Sort of reminds me of Halloween 2 when they were putting Jamie Lee Curtis in the ambulance. I don't know why, I just thought about that. But so Mike's going to get in there in the ambulance with her. And like I said, I think the kids, yeah, they get up front. Which I've never seen people do that, even in a movie. And I would imagine they probably use the actual ambulance services of the this place in Oklahoma where they filmed. So the sheriff is going to go back and, oh no, the killer is gone. We knew that was going to happen, didn't we? So we're just about to the end of the movie, and we're going to have a very odd scene here at the end of this. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what you are actually going to see here. And I'm not really sure if they didn't know how to end the movie, so they took advantage of what Mother Nature gave them. And utilized it to make a really weird ending, to a bizarre ending to this film. So you see that little hag thing again. Okay, so you're seeing that shed where I guess this guy, I think this guy's name is Jed, just like my cousin. So here he is, and he's going to walk out to the lake, and we're going to see something very strange here shortly. Where there was a lake at the beginning of the film, we are going to see, as soon as he makes his way down here, now he's slowly making his way down here. We are going to see that there is no longer any water in this lake. And that is because the lake dried up about the time, I guess, they finished filming. So there is basically no water in this lake. I have never heard of this happening with the lake. I mean, I'm guessing there was a hole somewhere where all the water went into. I've seen it happen with ponds, but never with lakes. So you're going to see a credit here like dry lake effect or dry something effect by an act of God. That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It looks so apocalyptic, in my opinion. Because you can see where the dock is there, but there is no water. You can maybe see a little bit of water out towards the center, but basically everywhere else there is no water. And then you've got this really like hard rock sounding type of song playing, which kind of adds to the bizarreness of this whole scene. I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me if, Dirk, has that ever happened in Louisiana? Like, is a swamp or something like that ever dried up in Louisiana? Because that is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Kind of makes me feel creepy in ways that the rest of the film did not make me feel creepy. And, you know, like I said, this is a short movie, really, anyway. So, you know, like I said, they probably just took advantage of what Mother Nature gave them to kind of pad out the ending of this film. They were like, oh, great, look, we're giving this. Let's just have this super bizarro ending where you've got a lake with no water. And then we'll just end it on that. See, dry lake special visual effects by an act of God, which it literally was. And I'm not sure how. Yeah, it's showing the cast there. So I'm going to switch back to the chat here. See what y'all put in the chat. Oh, it looks like Wes is in here. John, you said, never been to many concerts besides a handful, but I've been to a shitload of old WCW wrestling shows, including one of the last Nitros. Hey, Wes. Durkee said, I want to go to a UFC pay-per-view one of these days. That would be cool, I think. Well, she said, I have the DVD of this, but I haven't watched it yet. It looks like a blast. Oh, you definitely have to watch it, Wes. Definitely. Sometime soon. Turkey said, what the hell happened? Laughing my ass off. That damn sheriff is an awesome actor. Darky said, I have to say this was a one-time experience today. And now you have to watch Hereditary. LOL. I know, Dirk. I really do. Darren, you say he should have walked into the water like the end of Class Reunion Massacre. Right. Darky said, yeah, lakes get low during droughts here. I had just never seen one that dry. Like I said, I've seen ponds back home. I saw those dry up. And usually my dad would say there was a hole somewhere where all the water was just like going into a sinkhole, basically. But yeah, other than that, I had never seen that happen to a lake. We're still got credit. Special thanks to who? We'll get it here. The Darter family. Location and property assistance. Like I said, Angela Darter's father. Angela Darter was the one that played Becky. Her father did own the house that they used. Cedar Lake Western Sportsman's Club, Cal Summerall, Lake and Area use. So I'm assuming they had to get permission from that guy. The Cheyenne Arapahoe Ambulance Service, ambulance and paramedic equipment. So they had connections there too as well. And Dorset Educational Systems, I don't know if that was who like taught the kids or something. Tiny Barker Auto Sales, I guess that's where they got that cool ass car that Mike was driving. Cheryl Thomas, Beverly Darter, Mr. and Mrs. Crasser, who I'm assuming was little Tony's parents, or Travis Crasser's parents. And so, we have officially reached the end of Blood Lake. I think this is going to be the last credit where it says 1987 Blood Lake. I don't think we're going to get anything really outstanding there. But, so that is the end of Blood Lake. And I hope you enjoyed this watch along. This is a watch along that I've wanted to do for a little while. So I just thought I'll just throw this in as a bonus thing since Steve's not doing his streams on Saturday right now, just for something a little extra for you guys to enjoy. Again, Wes, I would highly, highly recommend you watch Blood Lake. I hope you guys did enjoy this. I'm hoping you'll join me for the Pieces Watch Along tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, if you can. Durkee said there's a swimming hole we used to go to called the Blue Hole Urban Legend here. No one has found the bottom. I swam down as far as I could and didn't find one. Wow. I don't know if I'd want to do that because I'm not a good swimmer anyway. I'd probably drown. But that is cool that you did that. So, does anybody want to bring anything up or offer any suggestions or anything before I get off of here? It is 7:46, so I don't envision staying on here too much longer, but I will stay on here a few minutes longer if you guys want to chat about anything else or ask me anything, comment on anything, offer any suggestions for future streams, stuff like that. I'm at your service for a few more minutes at least. Oh, goodness. I think I'm going to have to take another one of those prescription ibuprofens because now I'm getting the headaches on and off every day. So it's like, when is this shit going to end? It's really making me miserable at times. Gosh, Darren, I don't think so. I don't recall watching it. But I'll have to ask Steve because, like I said, sometimes Steve watches things after he goes to lay down in the bedroom and I'm not ready to go to bed and I'm still in the living room watching stuff. So, um, oh, yes, I'm glad, Dirk, I'm glad you brought up Prey because actually um, me and Steve did watch that. Uh, what was it, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday evening we watched that, and I thought it was a pretty decent film. Darren, you say it's a newer one. Um, yeah, John, I agree. The CGI wasn't great, but it was solid. Yeah, I was telling Steve, I said some of the CG I didn't think was necessary, but it's still leaps and bounds better than the original CG that was used in a lot of movies. I don't think it looks nearly as fake as that the first CG effects were. Yeah, Darren, I think I agree with John. It's solid and a very decent film. I went into it with an open mind. And, like a lot of newer movies, I did not hate it, thankfully. I enjoyed much of it. Um, I liked how the Predator looked in this one. I I liked the storyline. I liked the effects for the most part. So, yeah, definitely a solid film. I would agree with John there. John, you say also the Native American speaking English. I get why, but it's hard. Yeah. You say it's because they don't want people reading subtitles, I guess. Probably so, just to make it a little bit easier on people. Dougie said, yeah, it wasn't the best, but didn't completely ruin it. The bear scene mainly. Um, the bear scene was like half and half for me. There were some shots of that bear scene that looked real. But then when the bear stood up on its hind legs, that's when it started to look a little iffy for me. And when it was jumping around and stuff like that, when it really started to move more, that's when you could tell it wasn't a real bear. Oh, John, I was nervous. Oh, maybe I was like, they're gonna kill that dog. They're gonna kill that dog, and it was just tearing me up. So you and I are the same on that stuff. And I think anybody that loves dogs and or animals in general is going to feel that way. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. But yeah, every time that dog got too close to the predator or the bear or anything like that, it did make me nervous. Uh, I was trying to think if there was anything I wanted to bring up before getting off of here. The dog was badass. I love that dog. That dog reminded me a lot of my dog Reggie, although they're not the same type of breed or breeds. But this dog had looks, like certain looks, certain way he would look, reminded me of the way Reggie looks. Um, Dirk, actually, I watched parts of it when Steve was watching it. But I need to go back and just really actually sit down and watch the film from beginning to end instead of being up doing things like laundry and then sitting back down or walking into the room and catching parts of it because it did intrigue me, the parts that I saw. Um, Brandon's messing with my green screen there. You can probably see his little butt there where my green screen wasn't covering everything. Oh man. I tell you guys, don't get COVID. Don't get COVID because, like, now I'm understanding what people were saying when they had these long haul after effects because I did not realize. I did not realize how it was going to sap my energy and make me feel like shit. I guess I thought it would be over sooner rather than later. And unfortunately, I'm still dealing with it. So I say, keep yourself as safe as you can. Stay away from anybody that's sick. Um, Wash your hands often, all that good stuff. Because you don't want to feel like I've been feeling. Sometimes I feel pretty good. Like today, Steve and I went out for a late anniversary lunch, and we went to Buca de Beppo, and I had a really good time. And now, and I was feeling pretty decent at the beginning of this watch along, but the later it gets in the evening, the worse I feel. It's like with any other illness, you feel worse at night the later it gets. Dirk, I am a fan of H.P. Lovecraft. I feel like H.P. Lovecraft was ahead of his time, frankly. Um, that at that time period, he was writing the stories that he was. And I realized, like, when they took the Herbert West Reanimator story and made it into a movie. I'm sure they embellished it a little bit more and definitely made it gorier. But I'm just talking about the basic story. I really feel like H.P. Lovecraft was a whole different breed of person and writer for that time period. I just don't think anybody else was writing that kind of stuff. It's just like Bram Stoker with Dracula, Mary Shelley with Frankenstein. Those things are standout novels, in my opinion, and unlike anything else anybody was writing at that time. And so I think it's the same with H.P. Lovecraft. So, yes, I am definitely a fan of H.P. Lovecraft. Um, Sorry for gushing, Dirk, but people generally don't ask me that, so I don't get to give my opinions on H.P. Lovecraft. Oh. Speaking of Dracula, though, which is not H.P. Lovecraft, that's Bram Stoker, but um, I am eagerly anticipating the time when me and Steve can go see the play of Dracula. They usually have it every year here in Louisville, and Steve says every few years they switch it up and have different actors and maybe do things a little bit differently. But you may be thinking, damn, a play? That's what my mom was thinking the first year that we went. I said, yeah, Steve's going to take me to see a play of Dracula. It's all theatrical and stuff. And she was like, why? But it was really cool with the special effects that they had, and the actors were great. Everything was just awesome. I highly, highly recommend that. If you live in Louisville, especially, and have never went to that theatrical, like the play of Dracula, I would highly, highly recommend it. Um, yeah, Color Out of Space, Dirk. It is a decent adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft. I didn't like it as well as some of the others, but it was decent. John, you said, I personally love the original Predator look best. Just the face and reveal, awesome. They've never been able to redo that. No, and I honestly, John, I don't think they ever will. I just liked what they were able to do with this one, but I do totally get what I will always love the original Predator because that's what I grew up watching. That's what my dad and me and my brother all grew up, me and my brother grew up watching, and Dad was able to experience with us. I don't recall my mom watching that with us. I don't think that was really her thing. Um, Yes, John, you're one ugly motherfucker is like the best line, the best scene in that movie. Yes, sir. I totally agree with that. When we actually started talking about Predator, that I flashed onto that scene. Um, I actually wish they could have figured out how to work Arnold Schwarzenegger into this, maybe having be a Native American or something in the movie. I don't know how they would have managed to pull that off, but it would have been pretty cool. But perhaps at this point in time that Arnold Schwarzenegger's not really interested in it. Brandon, I see you, buddy. So I'm probably going to stay on here until 8 o'clock, and then I'm going to get off here and probably go take a shower and take my other pill for the night and see if I can get some rest. But I will be on here for a couple more minutes in case you guys want to ask me anything or bring anything up. Got any burning questions that you want to ask me? But so did you guys enjoy the Blood Lake watch along? Was it everything you hoped it would be? Or did you just think, why did Dana do this? This was a major piece of shit. Durkee said, The Dark and the Wicked is pretty good in my opinion. $422,000 budget shot on the director's family farm, generally creepy as hell. Now, the thing about The Dark and the Wicked, Dirk, is that it started off really promising. I really liked those beginning scenes. I thought it was very creepy, very effective. And then somewhere along the way, for me, actually, it just slid off the map. And I can't remember exactly what Steve said about it, but maybe when Steve starts doing his streams again, somebody can ask him, or maybe tomorrow when we do the show. And actually, I'm going to announce on here that I was thinking of taking a break from doing the Eurocult show. So I think Dirk and Darren will be happy to know that I have decided to be on this week's show. So I am planning, barring, being really sick or anything, I am planning on being on the show tomorrow. So, Dirk, you say some of the CGI was really bad. Darren, you say, I need to see Blood Lake again. I'm sure I've got the DVD rip on a hard drive. It was fun, though. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. You say awesome, Dana. Dirk says awesome. Well, I'm glad that you guys say awesome. Steve's like, I can't ever really get from Steve whether he wants me on there or not. He says he does, but anybody that knows Steve knows Steve doesn't really get animated about very few things. So you just kind of have to take what he says at face value and understand that he means what he says. He just is not, he doesn't get that passionate when he's talking about, awesome would not be the word he would use. I'm glad you guys used it, but he's just like, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't, don't. That's his thing. John, you say I prefer Blood Hook, but Blood Lake is good. Well, maybe sometime we can do, or maybe I'll do one of these bonus watch-alongs, and we can do one for Blood Hook. I would be more than happy to do that. I'll try to, if you guys think that you might like to do a watch-along for that one, I'll try to maybe next month on the Saturday before we do the regularly scheduled one, we can do Blood Hook. How's that sound to you guys? Dougie say everyone is who they are. Exactly. John, you said the most Wisconsin slasher ever, Blood Hook. Exactly. So I'm game for the first Saturday in September, us doing a bonus Blood Hook watch along. I think that would be fun, actually. I may be able to get a link for that from YouTube or something. So why don't we just count on that, barring anything happening with me health-wise, then I will plan on doing that. And thank you, John, for suggesting that. That's a cool idea. So it is now officially 8:02. So I think I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night. So like I said, take my pill and take a shower. Get me something to eat. Take care of Brandon here because he's whining at me. Um, Darren, you say you got the Blu-ray of Blood Hook, so it's all good, cool. I will put a link out there whenever I do the advertising for it. That way, people that don't have the Blu-ray or something can watch along with the link. You take care too, Dirk. Darren, you say, have a good night, everyone. Speak tomorrow on the podcast. Good night, Darren. Good night, John. Good night to anybody else that might be watching. Wes, Craig, Metalect, or Metalect, I mean. Sorry about that. So I will see everybody on the flip side, and y'all all have a good night.